what is autism spectrum disorder? Well, I think it's kind of like a rainbow of things because there's so many things that are different about it. Really, like, you don't meet two people the same on it. You have low and high functioning, and we're all special in our own ways, but not like special, but we have skills, like really good skills. Like, I was 3 and I was already hacking into my parents' parental blocks.
One of the things that a misperception of mine was when I used to look at autism, I used to think it was just really low end. And so as a parent, when I seen a lot of things with my own son, I really was trying to figure out, is that autism? Or, you know, because I used to think autism was you weren't able to speak at all, or you weren't able to do things without somebody right there beside you and all those things. But I learned a lot over the years that it doesn't mean that they are just not able to do anything. Like Darcy was saying, they have many skills, many talents, but there's also a lot of challenges as a parent as well.
Especially with Joey there too, you know, not just Joey, it affects so many people.
Yeah, and it's so common now too. If it's not in your immediate family, you know of a friend who has it or something like that. What are the red flags parents can look for? A lot of red flags are babbling, late, talking late, being unresponsive to their name, not being very affectionate, or things like that. I'm not much of a hugger. My parents know that.
I find a lot of like, for me, just I think I didn't even notice any of the red flags, and that's a big thing with a lot of parents. They don't even notice that like their kids are displaying those types of behaviors, and they just think, you know, they've never really been around a little kid, so they think, oh, that must be normal, that must be like toddler kind of activity. But then some, like Darcy had said initially, like some red flags for some kids are not red flags for others. He's not a hugger. Well, my kid is the most affectionate person ever. So like they're all so, everything is so different. You know?
Yeah, I was quite affectionate as a child as well.
Yeah.
One of the red flags that I found was, for me personally, was Zane was talking really well, and then his speech went backwards at 2. And he started having more delays at 2, and up until 2, it seemed as though everything was going fine, and then it ended up that he just started losing some of his speech at that time, and I was really confused by that. And at that time, I thought it might have been because he had to have open heart surgery as well, so I thought, you know, like he just regressed. But after that, things seemed to have had changed a bit, and I felt it as a mom. Something changed or was different that I noticed at that age.
Yeah, I used to talk about obsessive things a lot, what my interests were, like dinosaurs. I kind of grew out of it. I still kind of do it. But that's just some of the communication issues that we can learn from. And a lot of the times we don't look people in the eye. I don't know why personally, but I kind of taught myself to look people in the ear instead. It actually helps and makes them look like you're looking at them. And I giggle a lot for everything right now.
Yeah, getting stuck on things is another red flag. Like, if they're talking about something and you change the conversation and they want to go back to the conversation that you were already having because they didn't finish it in their mind, that's it's getting stuck on things. I do that a lot still to this day. That's another communication deficit. But with practice, you can get over that as well.
Does anyone have anything else to add for this one?
Joey has a tendency too to get stuck on things and have obsessions, especially about this wall being changed over here and our church may be closing. He gets obsessed with that, gets, upset with it, but I try to change the subject. But I change the subject and then he's right back at that same subject again, so.
Yeah, we should be lawyers.
Also, if they happen to spin around a lot or rock back and forth quite a bit, that's another.
It's stimming.
Yeah.
Zane used to roll in blankets constantly on the floor when he was young, roll, and he always was wrapped in blankets. And I really didn't see
It's,
anything wrong with it because he was enjoying himself. He seemed so happy doing it, and I don't know, for me as a parent, I didn't stop it because of he just seemed like he was somewhere else, but he was enjoying himself, so, and I knew it was hard for Zane sometimes to, let's say, I can buy him tons of toys, but he'd rather play with, objects at my sister, so she had this toolbox and it was just odds and ends in it, and that's what he'd rather play with, and
Paper
strings,
clips,
paper clips,
clips,
doorknobs. So it was,
The more, like, with me, I was more interested in using my imagination than using an actual toy. I wanted to turn everyday objects into toys, and that was part of the fun, is figuring out how you can do it.
Anyone else? What are the struggles for children dealing with autism? I think this
So that would really depend on where they are and what signs, traits of autism they have.
well, yeah.
I think sometimes when I notice it with Cam is that, what other people are expecting of them. So like, they're expecting him to act out. So like, if he has the least little bit of a bad day, then, oh, well, that's what it is, he's acting out. Well, no, not necessarily. He's not always, having a behavior. So that's one thing. And he can't communicate to say, no, this isn't this. This is really a need I have and something I want to tell you, but I can't. So that, I find that's a huge struggle because he can't communicate for himself that, okay, this isn't, what you're thinking that I want. And it's not a behavior, it's just simply, he's trying to relay to them, trying to show them things. And so that I find is a huge struggle. And I know it goes into the next question, for adults as well, I'm sure.
That's definitely one of the struggles of being a child with autism is communication. You can't get across or convey a message very easily. You can't get out your ideas or thoughts. And you can't express your emotions because you don't know how. And a lot of times you don't even know what emotions you're feeling.
And it's difficult to make friends too. I was fortunate, I had a really good group of friends, Tommy and Ryan, don't know if you're watching, but I find it's getting things like jokes and why people don't want to be your friend, and some of the things you talk about that they don't want to talk about and why they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I found it mostly just scary to make friends. I found it very scary for some reason to approach someone you didn't know and try to just get along with them was a very intimidating thing for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but I didn't really like doing that at all.
No, when he was small, I used to always have birthday parties for my daughter, and I wanted to do the same for Zane. He used to cry that I didn't have him a birthday party. He'd rather have one friend and go to the movies or something. He didn't like a whole bunch of children around, and it was really challenging for him.
I would get very upset if she did throw me a party, because most of the time I didn't like crowds, and most of the people that were there I didn't really consider friends, because even though they were my cousins and people I knew and people who were my friends, I just felt very distant from them. Because with me, my entire life, I choose one person, and they're my friend, and everyone else who is friends is just kind of a distant friend, like more of an acquaintance. I only really get attached to a single person, and get very attached to them, and then I don't usually have many friends. I usually have one or two.
Yeah, I had two, but it was a while for one of them to talk to me because he annoyed me until I started being his friend. Thankfully did, though.
Another thing I found was struggle was in the school system, like when they changed the routine, I used to have to come get Zane. But say it was like normal day to day, but then they had something going on in the auditorium, he would not want to leave the classroom because he felt like, okay, we're missing math. Like he liked that routine, the pattern. And when that was thrown off, it was a real challenge. And it, as a parent, it's a real challenge because you get a lot of phone calls. And you know that the things that an average child, that transition's not going to be a big thing. But for Zane, it was a big thing, and even the routine of like go in, hang up your coat, take off your shoes, get to your desk, open your desk, bring out your books. That was a challenge for a while till he got down to. Eventually, he got it, but as a it was a struggle as well. I knew it was struggling for him and a struggle for me because I wanted to help my child, but how do you do that?
And by the way, for anyone who's watching the video who didn't realize by now, I'm her son, Zane. I'm who she's talking about. Yeah, one of the reasons I did that is because when we went to an assembly or something like that, especially with those things, like routine was a big deal, but when we went to those things, I didn't like the crowds, and I always felt like it wasn't important, but I'm missing out. Like I felt like I was missing out on the things I was supposed to be learning in class. But and instead I'm at an assembly that I don't want to be in, learning nothing, and like it might be shock to probably some of my teachers because they didn't think I was listening, but I was listening because the way I used to listen is I would draw and stuff in order to listen, and they wouldn't like that. They'd want me to focus on them, but focusing on them took so much energy I couldn't understand what they were saying. Because for some reason looking at people and looking at people in the eyes is especially difficult, and it actually takes a lot of focus for someone with autism, and it's to the point where they're focusing so much on keeping that contact with the person that they're not listening to what the person is saying. And what else was the thing mentioned? Or something else? Yeah, okay, never mind.
He is right though. It's easier to look down at something or do something else because you have so many things racing through your mind. You're just focusing on their voice while you're doing something else with your hand. Just so you.
For some reason, like even if you're drawing something and you're putting a lot of detail into it and you're like focusing on it, it's still much easier on your head than actually just looking at a person. Like just looking at a person, especially if it's in their eyes, is a lot more difficult than doing a difficult task with your hands and focusing on that. For some reason, because like yeah, but so like if like I would draw and like it would look like I'm not paying attention, but I'm actually paying a lot more attention than if I was looking the person straight in the face, because for some reason the drawing didn't take as much energy as looking at them.
Alright. What are the struggles for adults dealing with autism? What are struggles? I'd have to say probably employment because job interviews are scary. We have to look people in the eye, we can't draw and things like that. We're meeting someone else and we're putting ourselves out there when we're always selling ourselves short. Most of the time we don't even know our own abilities or don't realize what we're doing.
One of the things that goes with both of those is, especially with the children one though, if I can go back to that, is sensory issues.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
yeah. I forgot
like,
all about that.
When I was a kid, I can't stand the sound of people eating. And when I was in the cafeteria, when I was a child, I would scream and cry and I would like throw tables, I'd take hissy fits so bad. And they'd have to take me out of the cafeteria and put me into the principal's office to eat or somewhere like that because I couldn't be with anyone else that was eating. And even up to middle school, the teacher was eating and I flipped out at her because she was eating an apple. Like for some reason, certain noises, certain sights, certain things like that, colors, certain lights, stuff like that, smells, things like that, feels, touches. Like I couldn't wear certain clothes. I couldn't wear new clothes. I had to use used clothes because new clothes were too starchy and stiff, and that would bug my skin. But like
Part where we're different is that I like starchy clothes.
yeah. But like for some reason, the certain noise will drive you crazy or hurt your ears, like physically hurt your ears, or something like that. Or it would.
It's something irrational too.
Yeah,
Like
it's
something that
it's
just
very
doesn't make
irrational.
sense.
Like the smell of something, like the smell of dishwater for me makes me just want to vomit, and I don't know why. Things like that.
I hate
It's like-
bananas. They're my bane of existence.
Yeah, I hate ketchup. Ketchup, I can't stand.
Yeah, I can't eat pasta
Just-
either. I can't eat slimy things. It makes me gag. Can't stand it.
Yeah.
So as you can see, that's a challenge for an adult as well.
Yeah, that's
To
a
try
challenge
to
for adults
find
as well.
food they will eat.
Yeah,
And then
for
one day,
parents.
they get fixated on a certain food and want that all the time, and then sometimes then they don't like that at all, and then they're
Yeah.
on to something different.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to go for like, I used to want a pizza, right? And I'd have pizza every day for like a month, and then the next month, I hate pizza.
Mine is goldfish.
I couldn't stand pizza. And then like 2 months later, I love pizza.
Yeah.
I want pizza. And then it's like, yeah,
Well, mine
it's
was
really weird.
goldfish and it was like chicken nuggets. I think now it's steak. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the struggles for the parents of autism too, is finding, finding,
You want your kid to eat well.
yeah,
you
finding
don't-
things he actually wants to eat. Cause like one day, you buying pizza every day, it's fine, and then suddenly you bought pizza, you come home, your child yells at you, why'd you buy pizza? Because he doesn't want pizza anymore, and you didn't realize that, like,
Yeah, but we probably didn't even tell them.
yeah, we don't even tell them that we don't want pizza, cause we don't know until we wake up that morning that we don't want pizza, so they've probably already bought it, and then, surprise, I hate pizza now,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
well,
yell at you.
we probably didn't even like convey it, probably because we thought it was like, yeah, they probably know.
Yeah, they probably get it by now, they know what I like.
Yeah. But I think that also goes with the adults struggling with autism.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't like that stuff.
But yeah, there's quite a few issues with that, with like the appearance as well, because that could be a struggle. So I can imagine what mom was going through when I did those things, because like it's not just that, it's things like clothes. Like one day I'll love the feel of certain clothes, and then the next day I hate it, so she has to buy new clothes. So it's like just things like that. It's like I can understand how that would be very irritating and aggravating. So it would be quite difficult. In most of those senses, that would be a struggle for a parent with autism. Anyone else has anything to add?
I think another struggle is when there's support, like there's a lot of support when they're younger, and now my greatest fear, I'm gonna be honest, was when Zane graduated, what's gonna happen now? Because I know my son, and I know that that it's a challenge for him to do anything new, different, be amongst people. So I was in a lot of fear. My truth is, I was fearful. Thank the good Lord that I found this place, the Autism Center.
And that's the next question. How has the center helped you and your family?
It's leading right into that.
Very good.
So if, my greatest fear was Zane's gonna lay on the couch the rest of his life. I'm gonna be honest. And the reason I say that is not that he's lazy, it's not that he's incompetent, it's just that I'm only one person and my word can only go so far, and I'm Zane's biggest advocate, but I needed help and I needed support because I don't have all the skills and abilities to deal with things. And then when I talked to Debbie, and Debbie said that they're here to support, and it felt like a big bag went off my shoulders, because I've been trying this since Zane was little on my own, trying to figure out how to best deal. And then when he graduated, I was overwhelmed with the fear, to be honest, and I didn't know what was gonna happen next.
Yeah, like, there's quite a bit of support for, like, children with autism, but I didn't get much of that support because I wasn't diagnosed until I was 18 or 19. So I kind of, like, skipped over all that, and then I just got diagnosed when I was an adult, really. So I was kind of thinking at the time, like, why bother getting diagnosed? Because, like, all the support's for when you're a child, right? There's nothing really support anymore. Because, like, now you're an adult, you have to go into the real world either way. But then Mom told me one day that there was a center that could help with adults with autism. I didn't know what to think about that, really, because I kind of went in expecting there'd be actually a lot of clashes with issues, because, like, one person will love clicking their pen, and then another person with autism would hate the sound of clicking pens. So I thought there'd be a lot of, like, issues that way, but it didn't turn out to be that way. It actually turned out that we got along quite well, and we understood each other quite well. We were all very reasonable, because, like, to be honest, I was expecting a lot more lower end spectrum people, but it was the people who were there were, like, very reasonable, and, like, you could get along with them quite well. I found they did help quite a bit because you could see other people with the same diagnosis you have, right? With, like, Asperger's or whatever, and you can hear their stories and how it relates to you. And it really does help to understand that other people were going through the same thing you were, and that other people, it helps you understand how you can get a bit farther as well, because, like, you see the issues other people have, and you might not even realize you had that issue until now, and then you're realizing, wait, I am like that too, maybe, and then, like, because self-awareness is the first step to actually fixing the issue, so realizing you're doing this is the only way you can fix it. And, like, I didn't realize I was doing, like, some of the stuff I was doing until I met other people, and then they were talking about it. Then I was like, oh yeah, I do that, I'm gonna have to fix that. So now I'm working towards fixing some of those things.
Yeah, and another thing is when you meet someone with, like, an issue that you have or had, that they can help you deal with it better with the strategies they use, or you can offer them help if you think you have a better way in dealing with it. But yeah, it's all self-awareness, especially with the adults, because some of us don't even know what we're doing, and it's learning about ourselves a lot.
Yeah, and it really does help to find other people with the same thing you have, because it kind of takes a weight off your shoulders. It's like you're not alone, and someone understands. And it's kind of nice to meet other people that are going through the same thing, because you can relate, and they can relate to you.
So what would you like to see for the center in the future? I'd like to see the center employ more people on the spectrum from all ends of it. And I'd like to see, like, say, our puzzle play grow, because, well, I'm running it, and I need help with it. And I think that we could all work together as a community to help these individuals learn that they do have working skills, and let's just be a stepping stone that they can start a career of their own, not necessarily here, but just to give them that realization, I can do things. But I think that's just a dream at the moment. I want it to become a reality though.
I kind of want to see the center just continue its program, because it could help everyone in the end of the spectrum. Because like, whether you're high functioning or low functioning, you're gonna meet someone here that's the same, and then you can at least relate to them. Like, say you're high functioning and you can't relate to a low functioning, or if you're low functioning you can't relate to a high functioning. There's gonna be another person in your general area of the spectrum that you can relate to. So like, and yeah, so I'd like to see them continue that for as long as they can.
Anyone else have anything to add to that?
I definitely, I know one of the goals of the puzzle play was to have like an after-school type program, and that is something that I would love to see. I know we did have it at one time, just for a short period, but I know Cameron really enjoyed coming to that, just because it was something different, and for me, it was something he could go to independently, you know, whereas in other programs, I either would have to go with him myself or have someone to go with him. So when he comes here, it's somewhere he's able to go on his own, and so that's really good for him, because it's something he can do by himself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think I would like to see for the center is, I know the government puts a lot of money into early learning with the autism, but a lot more funds for when they are adults, like to support the adults. Yeah, more support systems that, and more awareness also that this is out here for parents, someone like myself that's worried, what do they do when they graduate, or what's the future look like, right?
I can relate to Zane's mom too, because when Joy graduated, I was really worried, where is it gonna go for him?
Mhm.
And like I said, we had him in a French course. He took that, he passed that applying colors. Then he went to a business administration course and didn't do so great with it, so. And it really wasn't until he got involved with the Autism Center that he really has come along, a long way.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the reasons it's easy to come here for someone with autism is because, well, the first few days are going to be difficult because you don't know who's here, you don't know the people. It can be kind of nerve-wracking, but after that, you realize how friendly the people are, how like understanding and everything, and it actually makes it quite easy to come. It's like you want to go there. Like when I woke up, like a lot of the time when I woke up for school, I didn't want to go. But like I was actually, when I woke up, I was pretty excited to come here because like I knew all the people. I knew, like, I had some friends here. I knew the workers. They're fantastic. Like they're really nice, and they're really understanding too. So like if you do have like issues with like sensory issues or something, they'll do their best to try and change whatever it is to suit what's best for everybody. Like they really do try quite hard to please as many people as possible.
Yeah, you gotta do. What would you like our community to know about autism? That's kind of a tough one.
Yeah, that is.
We're just people, just like everybody else, just a bit different.
I think the major thing for me would be that the community knows that there is support for autism as well. Like, I think that's a major thing. Like, some people aren't aware of the system or unaware of the support systems that can be out there. And I think they also need to know, like I didn't know before, like I said before, there's so many different levels and on the spectrum and that, and we need to being very inclusive of all types of children and all different levels of the autism or any other thing that children have. It's just that we're sitting around about autism today, but really the inclusion and the ability for the community to know that if they hire children with autism and the child has a passion, they will be the best worker, I think, in the world, because once they have the passion and they have the drive, they will be the most loyal, hardworking people that you ever saw, and they will not miss time, because that's a big issue. They don't like missing time.
Routine. I find, like, I just want more people to know about autism, like that. They're not all the same. They're not all on the same part of the spectrum. They're not all the same, like, level. They're not all the same, things like that. Because, like they say, if you meet someone with autism, you met one person with autism. Because, like, just because, like, you know someone with autism and they don't like carrots doesn't mean that everyone on autism doesn't like carrots. Like, someone else with autism might only want to eat carrots. Like, they would love carrots. Like, that's the favorite thing. But, like, so, like, everyone with autism is very different from everyone else with autism. So I'd like more people to know about that. And I especially like teachers to know a bit more, like how to handle kids with autism. So I found that was an issue growing up, that a lot of teachers didn't know how to approach you, so they just wouldn't bother.
That's right.
Yeah.
They didn't know about autism, so they just.
But it's not all teachers, to be fair. Some teachers,
a lot of teachers were fantastic, but some teachers just, they didn't understand it, so they didn't want to
Deal with it.
And then when they done that, they didn't understand it, then they put you in as somebody that had a resource teacher or something, and that you stayed. Once you go in there, you stayed. So they didn't, you know.
But what are some good experience in school? Some good points.
One of the most amazing points along Zane's school years is that he did have some amazing teachers that really, really took the time to understand Zane and support Zane. And he had a teacher in high school that Zane to this day looks up to because of the way he interacted with Zane and the way he approached Zane. And it doesn't just affect Zane, like you say, it affects the parent, because it really, really affected me to have a teacher that I knew he couldn't wait to go to school, and he talked about the teacher at home. That makes a difference, because I do believe autism just doesn't affect the child, it affects the community, right? So that was a good experience that we had, that he did connect with a few teachers over the years, and he really excelled from grade 9 to 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I had like one teacher in elementary, middle school, and high school that I loved all equally. Different teachers, but I've had a couple teachers that are changing, and they make everything a bit more bearable. You look up to them for who they are, what they do.
Is there anything else you guys want the community to know about autism, or how they can help?
I think they can help by, especially this resource center, by the puzzle play. It would be really nice if we had more people join in that puzzle play, and be able to make more awareness of autism and what the center does and all these things, because one of the major things that I noticed is that it's video when you do the draw, and that's a big thing. You can see it right on Facebook, that you can join it right on Facebook, and you're able to watch the draw as it happens. And the more people that participate, I think it's going to mean greater things for this resource center.
It definitely is.
So what can we do?
Yeah.